So I just put the babies down for a little nap and I made myself a little cup of tea, and I'm going to go through and answer some of these questions that I did on my Instagram stories. I just did a question box for twin pregnancy, and so I'm just going to go through and answer some of these. So what were your initial symptoms in twin pregnancy? So the first symptom that I remembered, I was out shopping with a friend. We were in Japan thrift store shopping actually, and I just kept getting so tired and I had shortness of breath and I kept needing to sit down, and I was like, this is so weird. Like, it's the middle of the day. Why am I feeling like this? Didn't make any sense. And I think that I was like 4 weeks pregnant at that time and I just didn't know. And then I found out at 6 weeks pregnant that I was gonna have a baby. I didn't know it was twins yet. My symptoms almost the very next day started getting a lot more intense. I had this weird thing where I would get so itchy at night and I would have to cover myself in lotion because I was just so itchy. I wanted to crawl out of my skin. So that happened and I was like, what is this? And then food aversion started right away. I didn't really have any cravings. I just didn't want to eat anything for the first trimester and really through my whole pregnancy, because I did have an HG pregnancy, but it was really, really bad in the first trimester. And then another thing was at between 1 a.m. and 3 a.m. every morning, I would wake up with this throbbing headache, like the worst headache I've ever had in my entire life, and it would last for so long. And I was like, when is this gonna end? But those headaches lasted all the way through the first trimester, and I don't think they ended till week 14 or 15, and then that's when things started settling down a little bit for me. I stopped throwing up as much. And so yeah, those were my first initial symptoms of pregnancy. Did you have a feeling it was twins, or were there any signs? When did you find out? It was the weirdest thing because I did just know. I knew somehow that I was having twins. I remember my husband left and was on a little mini workup, and I found out I was pregnant, and when he got home I was 11 weeks pregnant. And we were going to my first ultrasound, and I told my husband, I was like, I think that it's twins. I just have this feeling, I just know. And he was like, okay, yeah, I believe you, but let's just see what the ultrasound says. So we went in that day, and sure enough, there were 2 babies in there. And I wasn't even really surprised. I was just so relieved because I had been so sick up until that point, and I was like, this just does not seem normal, because my mom had 10 pregnancies and she threw up 1 time that entire time, and I was like, I just don't know why I'm so sick. And my sister had 5 pregnancies. I was like, this is not normal. So when I found out that there were 2 in there, I was like, okay, this makes a lot more sense. How much weight did you gain during the pregnancy? Not to be rude, carrying twins is hard. So I think for the entire pregnancy I ended up gaining 28 pounds, which it should have been a lot more than that, but especially in the first trimester, I lost 15 pounds just from being so sick. Every day I was just throwing up profusely until I was 4 months pregnant. I have a picture because it got so bad. I was like, this is not right. There's no way I'm pregnant with twins. I just keep losing weight. And that's when I moved back to the States from Japan, and I met a midwife who started helping me gain weight. So when I was about right at 5 months pregnant, I found my midwife, and she helped me with nutrition. She helped me just have a much healthier pregnancy, and I actually started being able to retain more food and gain weight, which is something that was really, really hurting me in the first trimester and up until month 4. How much do you think one should eat or drink during a twin pregnancy? So I won't speak for everyone, but I will tell you what my midwife wanted me to do personally. She had this goal for me to get 180 grams of protein every day, and because it was really hard for me to eat, I would always start with my protein and try to get as much protein as I could, and then if I had any room left over, it would be greens and nutritious things. So I would shoot for 180 grams of protein, and any leftover room would be for greens and nutrition. But I think that's another big reason why I didn't gain very much weight, because I had no appetite. Literally nothing sounded appealing to me. And so I just ate the bare minimum of what would get us by, because that's all I could stomach. But I remember I would have to eat every hour and a half to 2 hours, or I would get so sick it would be hard for me to move. So yeah, that's what worked for me, and that was kind of the sweet spot of like keeping me from getting really, really sick, was eating every hour and a half and shooting for 180 grams of protein, and then greens when I could fit them in. Were the twins born on their due date? So they were not. I had them at 37 weeks and 4 days. Yeah, I went into labor and they were born very quickly. I had a very fast labor. What kind of twins are the boys? Fellow twin mom. They are identical, which is so funny because they were die-die twins, which means that they had separate sacs, separate placentas, separate everything. So we were like for sure that they were gonna be fraternal, but 30% of fraternal or 30% of die-die twins are actually identical. So it took us a whole year of like learning them and their features and looking at them to be like, yeah, maybe we should get them tested because they look really similar. So right around their first birthday, we got them tested and they are identical. Did I have a hard pregnancy? My pregnancy with the boys is still to date the hardest thing that I've ever done. I think a huge part of the struggle for me was mental. Even though I was really, really sick, and I think it's because I was so sick that I felt like I wasn't going to be able to carry them full term. And so mentally it was really hard for me because I wanted to get excited about meeting them and being pregnant. But I had a really scary scare with them early on where I was bleeding and it was unexplained and I thought I was losing them. And then all of the weight loss just like had me believing in my head that like I was not going to get to meet 2 babies. It was such a mental battle because I was so grateful to even be carrying them, but I was so scared to like buy things for them because I was afraid that I wouldn't ever get to put all of these clothes on them. So I remember I was like 33 weeks pregnant and me and my sister Marsha went into Old Navy and she found some little sleepers and she was like, you should buy these for the boys. And I was like, no, like they don't need it. Like we had gotten stuff from our baby shower to like get them through those first couple of months or weeks or whatever. And I was like, no, Marsha, like we don't need to get it. And she was like, yeah, let's just get it. So I remember buying the outfits and I got home and I looked at them and I was like, I am not going to be able to handle it if I don't get to put 2 babies in these outfits. And like, what if I have to get rid of one set because they don't both make it here? And I think it was just such a mental struggle for me because I wanted to get excited about them, but I was so scared that my body would fail me or wouldn't be able to get them here. So it was definitely really hard. And even when I look back, I just am so grateful that they're here and they're happy and they're healthy because those 9 months were so hard. Were your boys in the NICU, and if so, how long? So no, they thankfully were not. They were born at 37 weeks and they didn't need any NICU time. They came out and they were breathing well. Everything looked great with them. They were right at 6 pounds each. So we got to take them home the very next day. Also another thing that we're just really grateful for, because if you are a twin mom, you kind of prepare yourself for being in the NICU just because so many babies that are twins are born preemie because of complications. So we were very grateful to be able to take them home. Can you share your body image journey pre and post birth? I think a big thing for me on this topic is that when I was pregnant and having all of these really hard times, I would think to myself, like, obviously you know your body's going to be different after pregnancy. I remember just thinking, if we can get through this, if I can get through this, and if my body can get them here and we can make it and I get 2 babies out of this, I don't care. I don't care what I look like in the end. And then I remember after I had them, I really didn't gain a lot of weight. So outwardly body image didn't change too much, but I had these internal struggles of basically being malnourished, and I have struggles with my teeth, and I've been seeing a dentist because I'm having these issues where my body just wasn't getting what it needed when I was pregnant, and I was really weak after I had my babies, and just a lot of like different things that I felt like my body failed me on. And so it's been this process of now looking back, I realized that it did exactly what it needed to get us through that time, and now my body can heal. It has definitely been a struggle, and I never imagined that my overall health would be so hindered in having a twin pregnancy. It was very, very hard on my body. It took me a year and a half to get to a place where I felt like I could actually get back to the things that I did before. Were both of your babies head down at time of delivery? So no, Theodore was twin A and he was head down, but Charleston was breech. Is your twin pregnancy natural? Yes, they were a definite surprise twin pregnancy. I wasn't on any medications or anything. Yeah, they were identical, so which is also just a fluke, because identical twins are not genetic. When did you start feeling them move? I remember this like it was yesterday because I was 18 weeks pregnant and I was in my friend's kitchen and I felt little flutters and I was like, there's no way. And there was a way because it was them and they were rolling around in there, and I just remember thinking like, this is gonna be so worth it. Like, they are real. All of this hasn't been for nothing. Like, there are 2 babies in there and I'm gonna get to meet them. I was so excited to feel their little kicks for the first time. Lots of questions about my birth story. Someone asked, can you share your birth story? I really want to keep this video on my pregnancy, and maybe one day I will touch base on my birth story. I've shared a little bit about it, but I've never shared the full story. But yeah, they were born at 37 weeks, and one was head down, one was breech. I had them unmedicated, and it's kind of a crazy story, which I will definitely save for another day. What were your cravings and what food helped you through your first trimester? I didn't really have any cravings. We were in Japan at the time, and I do remember wanting a Chick-fil-A sandwich at some point, but that's the only thing I can actually remember wanting to eat. What did help me though is I would take Unisum and B6 every night. And when I started taking that, it helped me not throw up all day long every day. I would still throw up because I was just very sick, but the Unisum and B6 combination made it to where like I could actually start keeping food down and I could function. How was your relationship with husband after the twins? I feel like anytime you add a person to your family, there are going to be learning curves, and we definitely had to learn how to be a family of 4 overnight. So there were struggles that we worked through, but I think more than anything is that when you have 2 babies, like, there are no options for the other person to not help. Like, there's 2 tiny people that need you 24/7. So whenever I was nursing one, Nathan would be changing diapers or just like soothing the other one or rocking them, redressing them, giving the other one a bath. Like, there was constant support on his end, and we were definitely a team during it. So even though we had to learn how to do it together, I think that ultimately it made us a stronger couple. And the last question I'm going to answer, because I think the babies are about to wake up, is, do I want twins again? And the short answer is no. The longer answer is I don't want to do that pregnancy again. Like, we went through it. I got them here. The thought of having to do all of that again while being a mother to 2 toddlers or 2 other people who need me, even if they weren't toddlers, just is not really something that I want to relive. Like, my pregnancy was not fun really at any point for me. I just couldn't wait for it to be over and for them to be on the outside of my body, because as soon as they were here, I felt like I could breathe again. As far as like the baby part, we love the baby part. The newborn stage was my absolute favorite. It was like, it's like this bubble, and it was so cozy, and I definitely would do the kid part again, but the pregnancy is just, it wasn't for me. I didn't enjoy it. I think that's where I'm gonna end this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I had fun making this. I haven't talked about all of this in one sitting, so this was kind of therapeutic for me. Maybe I will do a Q&A on my birth story soon. The boys are turning 2 next month, and I've never told the full story. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you later.